This educational documentary investigates a theory about a mushroom cult in ancient India and the role it played in the origins of Hinduism, and should not be interpreted as encouragement or promotion of substance use. Discretion is advised.
The oldest living scripture in the world opens with a prayer. Not to a king, not to a god, but to a mysterious substance, said to grant visions of the divine and to unlock the secret world of the gods. They called it Soma, elixir of immortality. After thousands of years of worship, it disappeared. No instructions, no trace, only stories and the echo of a name, Soma. I know it sounds crazy, but the mushroom changed my life. I remember I saw my breath pulsating as light. And I don't know why, but seeing that gave me the realization that this entire universe is alive. It was an awakening. This experience changed my life's direction. I never knew entire cultures existed around this experience. So I went to Mexico to learn more.
Maria, Guadalupe, Financina, Finyo Mili,
I picked this datura flower from her garden. This will be interesting later. And after Mexico, I traveled to Maui to meet Ram Dass, who guided me profoundly.
I am loving awareness.
Dakota, happy to meet you. I'm so happy to meet you.
But it wasn't until I met a monk in California that gave me this book, the Bhagavad Gita, a story about Krishna, the Lord of Cows. When I read this, it all came together. The teachings in this book mirrored the things the mushroom showed me, a hidden unity behind the separations of life. This book is thousands of years old. How did they know? I don't know, but I had to figure out, so I went to India. My first trip to India was very spiritual. I stayed at the temple at Kenchidam for weeks. I met holy men and I learned to meditate. I had this hunch that Hinduism had a psychedelic origin, and there it was, Soma, an unidentified plant or substance that's being spoken of like a god.
Soma.
With stones, they press him in the sacred place for Indra to drink. He is filtered through wool, bright and golden. The men begin to praise.
We have taken it, become immortal. We have found the place of the gods.
I asked around and nobody knew anything. So I just kept traveling around India. I was in Tamil Nadu visiting the massive Adiyogi statue when I noticed someone reading a book on a bench. I saw it right away. It had a big red mushroom on it, and it said Soma by Gordon Wasson. What's the theory about this book? That Soma is a mushroom. And in that moment, it was like this synchronistic full circle. Like I woke up from the Matrix and realized that I was on a mission. That the mushroom was the reason that I even went to India to begin with. But if Soma was a mushroom, there would be some sort of evidence. Carvings, documentation, something. I started doing some research and quickly found out that the idea, there's nothing to even find really. But then I found something. Massive stone mushrooms deep in the jungles of Kerala, only a few hours away from me. These are 3,000 years old, and that places it at about the time the Rig Veda was written. So I hopped in a taxi, and in a few hours I was there. Right now, I'm journeying through India.
trying to potentially unravel the threads of a hidden psychedelic mushroom cult. Gordon Wasson, who was a famous mushroom researcher, especially in the context of shamanic ceremonies, believed that Soma was a mushroom. And he believed this because in the Rig Veda, the Soma plant didn't have seeds, didn't have leaves, and the preparation that's described as making Soma is the same preparations as the shamans in Mexico have used. Archaeologists believe that these are burials for the ancient people, but I believe that this is proof that psychedelic mushrooms were once a part of the culture here, and this was a way for the ancient people to memorialize the importance of the mushroom. And maybe this is a clue to the knowledge of Soma, or to the knowledge that India has a deep shamanic history using these types of substances to invoke altered states of awareness.
Using plants to reach altered states of spiritual awareness is not uncommon in India. There's this guy here. Let's see if he can tell us anything.
So they found human remains outside this.
That's why they think it's burial spot?
Even this one is burial. They found ashes of pots inside each of these, except for this one. During the rainy season, the dermatomyces mushroom will be filled over here.
Here?
It will come out as if it's breaking the earth, breaking the earth apart, and it comes out from here. That's what you see.
He didn't know much about these stones, but he pointed me to a doctor that knows all about mushrooms. The doctor's family had lived in these forests for generations as healers. He even had ancient palm leaf manuscripts, pages full of the knowledge of the local ecosystem. He didn't know anything about Soma, but he did know about mushrooms.
How many species of psychedelic mushrooms are in Kerala?
I've seen almost 10 or something.
10.
Because I don't know the exact species of them, but there are varieties. Psilocybe, Spaniolus. Spaniolus, I think I've seen 2 or 3 varieties of Spaniolus in Munnar. Psilocybes also come, the cubensis are growing in Kerala.
Yeah.
I've seen them in Wayanad. Subcubensis are there. Not similar, some varieties which is endemic to New Zealand. We have found it here.
How did it get here?
I don't know.
There are 3 mushroom stones from 2000 BC. So that means it was part of the culture. We lost it somewhere. We just have to find it where we lost it. And it's already there. It's growing naturally, and you see the stones, so it's easier to connect the dots.
There are many mushroom pictures or depictions in India, but you can't see any ancient textbooks that is referring to or any medicines or.
You don't find?
No, we don't find.
So you find it carved, but you don't find it referenced in the scripture.
In the scriptures we don't find it. Something has happened in between. Someone has played in between, maybe.
Yeah. So there's like clearly a big psychedelic history here that is there. It's just disappeared somehow.
Somehow. We really don't know what happened in between.
Where's the mushroom? At the top right there?
Can you see that? Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
We had a Langudi Hill Odisha.
Can you send it to me?
And this is when the trail really begins.
Okay, Odisha, we made it. Wow, this is my first time here in Odisha. Jagannath place.
When we arrived, we were surprised because there was just this temple in the middle of the neighborhood right next to our hotel. And it was clearly a tantric type of temple. I'm pretty familiar with this stuff. And I was looking, and immediately on the walls, I noticed something.
So right here is the Tantric Kapalini temple. Tantra means to weave or to expand. And tantric practices are usually practices that they're about harnessing energy as a means to reach altered states of consciousness, higher levels of awareness. We have one Devi, one goddess, holding what looks like a mushroom. And a lot of people today, when they think about Tantra, they think about black magic rituals. A lot of people think of agoris who do meditation on top of dead bodies as a way to harness their energy. I believe that these practices a long time ago were also utilizing psychoactive compounds like the mushroom or like Dakota or ganja, which are both Sanskrit words. Here we have another one where it looks like she's holding mushrooms. You can see she's holding it and it's got the umbrella shape popping off. Let's see if we can find anything else. It's interesting that today they're still offering datura flowers to these statues, to statues of Shiva, to statues of the Devi. Datura, actually you can see a little datura flower here. Datura is a flower that is used in shamanic rituals from pretty much every continent. It's a very toxic flower, and only shamans that know how to work with this plant can utilize it as a substance for spiritual realization. And this actually looks like a datura flower right here. Is it possible that there was a lineage of Hinduism that were doing these types of practices? It's found everywhere in the world, so it's not inconceivable to assume that the culture that understood the array of Ayurvedic knowledge, that they knew about these things. Of course they knew about these things. And of course they knew about their spiritual potency. But now it's been lost. It's been lost to only secret groups. Today it's very rare, but not impossible, to find sadhus that are smoking datura. Mostly today, they smoke ganja. And when they smoke ganja, they sing Hara Hara Mahadev, which means Hara Hara, all the names of Shiva, Mahadev, all the names of God. So before they smoke, they're praying to God. So this shows that there is a lineage that has been passed down, and passed down all the way to today about utilizing plants as a connection to God. It's not written about really in the Puranas or in the Vedas or Upanishads. It's mentioned once by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, very briefly. He's talking about all the different ways to get psychic powers. And he says that the light-filled herbs, Ashuti, are one means of reaching spiritual power.
After visiting this Kapalini temple, I hopped on my scooter and I rode for hours. And then we arrived. Lengudi Hills, a forgotten Buddhist site tucked deep into the landscape.
We made it. Lengudi Hills. So I'm pretty sure we're in the right place, and we're going to one of the oldest Buddhist settlements here in Odisha. Actually, Odisha has a very old presence with Buddhism dating back to its foundation 2,600 years ago. I was given some tips from somebody I met that there are some carvings of mushrooms here. Now in Buddhism, it's not traditional to use any psychoactive plants. Here's a little carving here. Very cool, but I don't think these are the carvings we're looking for.
A local was hanging out at the top of the hill, and he waved for me to follow him.
So Buddhism doesn't typically recognize plant-based shamanism as being a way to obtain enlightenment. But there are tantric schools or lineages of Buddhism which are a bit more esoteric and a bit more shamanic. And those schools of thought arose in India about 1,500 years ago. But it is very much possible that it is earlier than that. Vajrayana Buddhism. This is the tantric school. And here we have like a, looks like a kind of like a step pyramid almost. Ye kya hai? A stupa.
I didn't know this when I was there, but Vajrayana artifacts were found in Langudi Hills. Excavations uncovered rock-cut deities like Tara and other tantric figures, unmistakably marking a Vajrayana presence. Archaeologists also found Brahmi seals that attest to tantric rituals and esoteric studies, hallmarks of a mature tantric monastery.
We're in the middle of nowhere. And just this is just hidden in the back end of some village. And you can see there's mounds everywhere. Every direction has these mounds. And if you didn't really have the eyes to see, you would just think they were little hills. But if you look closely, a lot of these mounds have stonework in them. You can see like here, here, and these are just unexcavated places. Obviously, this one is a building because there's giant stairs down there, but back there, over there, those ones just look like hills. But if you were to start digging, you would find all kinds of stuff. Ancient Buddhist relics. The Vajrayana lineage of Buddhism is different from the other ones. This one has rituals, complex philosophy, interesting imagery, all meant to be a fast track to enlightenment. And actually, the Vajrayana school speaks of an elixir of immortality called Amrita. And Amrita is spoken about in the same way that they speak about Soma in the Rig Veda. Soma is spoken about as also being an elixir of immortality. And something that's a little mind-boggling is Shiva is called Someshwar, another name for Soma, the Lord of Soma. And Shiva is known to be able to take poisons and transmute them into spiritual substance. This is what a shaman does. A shaman takes a poisonous plant and uses it for spiritual purposes. When Shiva took this poison, he was called Nilkant, the one with the blue throat. And Shiva, his divine vehicle, is Nandi, a bull. This is very interesting imagery because, well, psilocybin mushrooms have a blue throat and they grow out of the poop of cows and bulls. And this place right here may be 2,600-year-old carvings of mushrooms. There's actually one story that the Buddha, at the time of his death, ate a mushroom and he died. And this could also be looked at symbolically as being like an ego death. Many people that take mushrooms or have these shamanic experiences report a sort of death, an emotional death, a realization that there is something more beyond the body, more beyond the things that we thought we were. And this feels like a dying process. Shiva also being the destroyer. There's a lot of interesting symbolism here. And you can see here one mushroom with, it looks like some kind of flower above it, or this could be the dharmic wheel.
Shiva's blue throat is directly associated with the story of Amrita. But this place is Buddhist. This is a carving of a stupa, and this thing here on top is called a chhatra. But here's the strange part. Chhatra means umbrella, but it's very common that in a poetic sense, Chachra is used as the word for a mushroom. Chachraka in Sanskrit literally means fungus. It's not proof, but it's something.
Typically, these figures at the bottom represent spiritual ignorance or some kind of spiritual darkness. And this being on top represents the overcoming of those lower qualities. And Soma in the Rig Veda is associated with Rudra, which is another form of Shiva. They say this is Shiva's old form. And Rudra, he's explained in a very interesting way, that he's red with thousands of white eyes. And Gordon Wasson pointed out that this sounds like an Amanita. And he has this little history of how the mushroom has actually been encoded into the imagery of Lord Shiva Mahadev. Amrita, this elixir, this potion, you know, like ayahuasca or something like that, is spoken about within a ceremonial context. It's used as an initiation, and it's said to give the user bestow you with spiritual powers, give you blessings, and bring you to a state of high consciousness or enlightenment. Could it be a mushroom? Have we completely missed something in these religions? I don't think these substances are necessary for spiritual understanding or spiritual clarity, but it's undeniable that when you trace the origins of many of the world religions, that it points to these experiences. It points to these plants in nature. And the mushroom is a special one because it grows all around the world, and you can find shamanic use all around the world. Actually, here in India, here in Odisha, psychedelic mushrooms grow in abundance, especially in the rainy season, which is coming up soon.
We're getting a little messy jumping between religions. So let's just slow down and compare Soma to Amrita, the reason why we're here. In the Vajra Yogini sadhanas, pouring Amrita into a skull cup is part of the initiatory ritual. This echoes tantric rituals still being practiced today. Both elixirs are described as a golden liquid that gives you visions, spiritual clarity, and immortality. And while Soma disappears, Amrita and Vajrayana might be where it hid, but we need more clues. A reoccurring pattern that both are associated with is the moon. It was only a breadcrumb, but I followed it, and it led me to the Chausath 64 Yogini temple. It's this circle of stone goddesses open to the sky, no roof, only moonlight. And these yoginis are not your typical spiritual practitioners. They are hanging out in cremation grounds, doing sacrificial offerings and blood rites, dancing under the moon.
We are at the Chausath Yogini temple, the 64 yoginis. This temple is very special because it's all about representing the divine feminine. And here, inside this temple is 64 representations of the goddess, all with their own characteristics that point towards different embodiments of the divine feminine energy, Shakti. Strength, fertility, sensuality, protection. But as things changed, they began being judged by society for not practicing mainstream forms of spirituality. They were labeled as witches for their knowledge of the plants and their power for healing, and this led them into secrecy until eventually it disappeared.
And this temple is not just architecture. This is a mandala. Every detail is intentional. The temple itself is circular, like a womb, like the cycle of time, like the moon, all related to the divine feminine, secretive by design.
Looks like a mushroom above her head. Actually, all of them, look. In a lot of cultures, the mushroom represents fertility. It represents sexual magic, not only because of its phallic shape, but because it also grows where things die.
Mushroom, no mushroom. Umbrella. Mushroom, small size.
Yeah.
Big size.
Yeah, but look, a small person, little person.
Tantric lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does Tantra mean?
Tantra means before time many holy siddhas coming, chanting divine mantra and meditation.
Black magic.
Black magic.
Black magic.
Like what?
His tantra, his mantra, his tantra.
Sacrifice.
His sacrifice. His blood donate. His blood pot.
Blood.
Blood pot.
Drinking.
Drinking. Blood pot. Taking umbrella. Is the umbrella. Blood. गिरेगा तो jackal and dog.
Jackal.
Jackal.
Wild dog.
Dog.
Yeah? Yeah face?
Human head. Human head.
Did they do human sacrifice?
Rakesh, huh?
Human sacrifice?
Sacrifice.
Here.
The temple attendant took me into the inner chambers, and he had no idea, but what he was about to show me was going to add an entirely new dimension to our mushroom search.
It's the one leg Shiva. One leg.
Aja Ekpad, an early name of Shiva found in the Rig Veda alongside Soma. It means the unborn one with a single foot, associated with rain and storms. Mushrooms spring from microscopic spores appearing out of nowhere, or unborn, arising as a single pillar, usually after it rains. Both Aja Ekpad and Soma are repeatedly described as a bull in the Rig Veda. Could this be because mushrooms grow in bull dung? In Sanatana Dharma Hinduism, it's not uncommon to see Shiva depicted as a pillar. This symbolism is trying to point to Shiva being the foundation of reality, the thing that holds up the stage in which all the changes in dramas play out on. And these changes in dramas and this movement of energy is called Shakti. But this is where it gets unusual. Buddhist teacher Lama Mike Crowley wrote in his book that he believes Aja Ekpad is a hidden symbol for the mushroom, with its one leg and its associations with the moon on its head. The skeptics would say, Chhatra means umbrella, not mushroom. These carvings, misinterpreted or coincidence. The text, symbolic. Soma, gone, a myth. They might be right, but back at my guest house, in the middle of the night, I began doing research like a mad scientist, searching all the dusty corners of the interwebs. That's when I found this journal that talked about this place, Chhatrapur, which they translated as being place of the mushroom. I had already come too far to turn around, so I went to investigate. Khajuraho, a temple complex famous for its encoded symbolism. It even somehow manages to trace the original name of Khajuraho, Korjuvaharak, to meaning drona, which is the word in the Rig Veda used to describe the vessel of Soma.
Chhatra has two meanings.
Yeah.
And you know, before in India we have a kingdom system.
Yeah.
So our state king is called Maharaja Chhatrasal.
Yeah.
That's why the district name is Chhatra. Also umbrella, Chhatri.
Also mushroom too, nah?
Yes,
Chhatra.
yes,
That's a name for mushroom?
yes. Chhatra. Yeah.
Mushroom.
Yes, because it's like Chhatra.
Yeah.
You like to try magic mushroom with chicken curry? In my farmhouse, we cook.
Where does the mushroom come from?
Here,
Where? Where does it grow?
here in the raining season is grow.
Cow poop? Cow poop? In
Yes,
the poop?
yes.
Dung. Dung. Cow poop.
I don't know.
You know cow?
Yes.
Poop.
Yeah, cow poo, yes. Also there.
Yeah.
Also there grow. Yes, right. Cow shit.
Cow shit, yeah. Katti.
Sorry.
Our search for the secret shamanic mushroom cult of India has led us to our last place in the district of Chhatrapur. I believe that this Lakshman temple behind me holds some hidden clues to the journey that we are seeking here. So let's go check it out, see if we can find anything interesting. This Khajuraho complex has more than 20 temples, and it's mostly famous for its depictions of erotic scenery, for depicting the Kama Sutra, acts of sort of sex. Here you can see a man having a horse, and then here this person's covering their eyes. Lots of very bizarre scenery here. In India, it's not uncommon for there to be things with many layers of meaning. And it's not uncommon for there to be secrets encoded only for the initiates, for people only in the know. Like Soma, for example. Soma was not used for the average person. It was for the priestly class only, or for special royals. So this knowledge was deeply hidden. The more we look, the more stuff we find. Look right here, you see this flower that's dipping down? It's like the flower I showed you at the temple before. This is a Dakota flower, very psychedelic, used in shamanic traditions all around the world. Still today, in Peru, they're using it. Towe, in Mexico, Toloache. Here, Datura. When you ask the people, why are you offering this specific flower? No one has a good answer. And I think the true answer is that it's because it's a very powerful hallucinogenic plant that gives you spiritual visions, siddhis, when you know how to use it properly. And if you look, you follow this line of Datura flowers, it leads to this statue here. And look at the left hand, what the left and right hand are both holding. And then here, at the foot of this small temple, is the second interesting thing. What appears to be one mushroom with smaller ones growing around it. Right here. And you can see the two Devis looking down at it. It does make sense, right? When you think about Hinduism, it's probably one of the most psychedelic religions. The gods have many heads, many arms, very colorful. And when you eat mushrooms, this is what you see. You know, go online, do some searching, and you'll see many, many people all over the world seeing visions like this when they eat the mushroom. You can almost imagine that they use this as a place to put the mushroom on top of for the deity as an offering. Look, we found something else. Here, we found another one of these unusual structures at the bottom of a temple. I've never seen these in any other temples before, all around India. But here in Chhatrapur, it's all over. Look at this. Can you see that? Zoom in, get a good shot of this right here. She has these twisting, looping things above her head. What's the meaning of Chhatrapur?
Chhatra means umbrella.
But Chhatra also second name, mushroom, no?
Yeah, but look like whole time we say mushroom, but look like mushroom, but not mushroom. This is umbrella like.
Umbrella.
Umbrella means protection. Suppose you are a king, you put in holding umbrella.
Yeah.
All people, you are like your servant, your protection all time. This for Chhatrapur, you know?
Yeah.
This for Chhatrapur. So there, look at the jewelry are there. Look at the ornament. Look at the sari design, Indian sari. Look at the ornament. Look at the navel. Look at the face. How the beautiful. 1,000 to 1,000 sculpture in the one temple. I show you one minute. Many in the Kama Sutra position here. The 84 position are there. You know? Kama Sutra one book's name written Maharshi Vatsan, 3rd century AD. Kama Sutra. Kama means love and Sutra means a technique or formula. According to Vatsam, he have 84 positions, different positions. This is the yoga.
Yes, yoga.
Meditation.
For spirituality, no?
Yes, spirituality.
Yeah. Good lesson.
Thank you, sir.
Dhanyawad ji. So the guides don't believe that it's a mushroom, but I do. Each temple in this complex has this little thing, and then something interesting directly in front of us. Just outside there is Nandi. Nandi is the bull that Shiva rides on. And Nandi's looking directly at this. So here in this temple, we found very interesting things, two very interesting things.
The two most interesting things we found here was the locals having casual knowledge about the mushroom and the addition of the altars at the foot of each temple. You probably want my conclusion after all of this. And if I'm being completely honest, although I had such an incredible adventure chasing the clues through the temples and the text and the sacred landscapes of India, I don't think there's enough evidence to really say what Soma is for sure. There are a lot of fascinating hints and carvings and legends that we can connect in the direction of the mushroom, but after really reflecting on it, I just can't say for sure. But it is fun. There was carvings, there was stories, there was theories, but no smoking mushroom. I don't think there's enough evidence to say that Soma was definitely a mushroom. What I've come to realize is that these unusual states of awareness are available to all of us through many different methods. Plants and mushrooms are only one way, but the important thing is that beneath our typical awareness lies a big mystery waiting to be excavated. There is not enough evidence to say that what Soma was. We just don't know. This is a mystery. And the mystery continues, and I think if we want to continue the search, there's a place we can look. If you're interested to pick up where I left off, search for the ancient Zoroastrian rite, Hawama. It's explained just like Soma, but that's a deep rabbit hole. I just want to give a quick thank you to Ramazan for helping me film this, to Johnny Art for that cool God voice vocal effect, to Ramdas for guidance and inspiration, Abuela Natalia for sharing her ceremonies with me and teaching me about the mushroom, and of course my Patreon supporters for believing in my visions and just supporting me. I really appreciate it. Please head over there and you can see behind the scenes content, or just consider subscribing here on my YouTube membership. Oh, and before I go, I have to mention that even before I finish editing this, Paul Stamets discovered this journey and he included a part of it in his new book. But that's a story for another day, so subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Dakota of Earth, signing out. Peace.
The search continues.